Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics round review. We're recording on Monday the 21st of October at the complete... Actually, no, that was the same introduction we did for live, not the... Hang on, I'm going to do that again. Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics round review after completion of round 8. We are recording on Monday the 21st of October. And round 8 is in the books. We've only got 2 rounds left to go. And it was good to enjoy a non-double game week and only have to focus on 9 games and have a few extra days to do our trades last week. I'm your host, Bails, and you can find me at Bails DT across the socials. And joining me, as always, is my fellow co-host and AFLW Fantasy Fanatic is Jaiden Poposki. Jaiden, mate, how are you?
Pretty well, thanks, Bails. And it was a fairly quick weekend overall compared to what we're used to. But yeah, straight back into it. Get much more time to think about trades and stuff. So yeah, nice.
Exactly. Did you enjoy the less games and having to focus on sort of less things and having to do your trades earlier and everything? Just generally, how was your weekend?
Yeah, compared to when we had the double games, like I would say I was a little bit disappointed with the kind of the start of the round. So like I had Karen Peterson first up on Friday night and she didn't go that well, only 29 points. But compared to when you have players on the double playing first, you kind of know they have a second game to like make it better or continue on, whatever. So once she played, I knew I was kind of behind the 8 ball a bit that week because she wasn't playing again. No more of that. So that was a bit of a change.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a worse feeling than, especially when you trade someone in, but even if you've got someone and they're a little bit more unique and it's on the first game of the round and then they absolutely stink it up and you're just like, what the hell was I thinking? Because a few people in our chat actually went and got Karen Peterson this week, and that was the theme of the chat, thinking, why did I rule my team and get Karen Peterson in? But for some people, that meant that they got one of the top scorers in the round and a very good ruckman that I'm sure we're going to be talking about later on when we come to the game and then when we chat about trades and stuff like that. But we'll obviously start off with how we went in round 8. So, Jaiden, mate, how do you kick us off? How did you go in round 8? What was your score? What's your round rank and current rank heading into round 9?
I scored a 13.25, so I think very, very par because I only went up 3 spots. So 244 up to 241. The weekly rank was 1,015. So yeah, like pretty much just the trade-ins didn't work. I lost about 20 points on my trades, I think. It's pretty much all down to what I did there, I would say, compared to gaining 50, let's say. That's 70 point swing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's I think you put in the group chat for us that the team that still hadn't traded throughout the whole year, if you started the ideal team for round 1, it would still be ahead, which is crazy. It's that you don't have to trade if you just know your starting team and get all the right picks, then you don't have to trade. But most of us do have to trade because we get a couple of picks wrong in our starting teams. But I scored. Actually, hang on. I should have probably done this earlier. I was getting up the top 100 ranks, so getting ready for that. But I scored a 1378, which puts me in overall rank of 157. So that's up 52 spots from last week, which is really, really nice. Round rank of 276. That's back-to-back weeks inside the top 300 for the week. So making that late charge for a hat, I am 92 points away from a hat. So 46 points a week. Can't be that hard. So hopefully we can get it done and nail our trades and get there because, all I care about is getting a hat. That's all I care about. It's what I want. So, hopefully we can get it done. I'm sure I'm going to stuff my trades up this week and that'll stop to that. But we'll jump over to our +3 and -3. So, Jaiden, mate, who gets your plus and -3 for the week?
My +3 goes to Eilish Sheeran. It was a great game, 117 points. It's just like a perfect game for a defender in the midfield and exactly what you would want from that pretty much. So, yeah, great score. And, yeah, it was just good also because I had her in Bolter. I think she's more of a unique over there. So, yeah, it was very enjoyable. The -3 goes to, like all my trade-ins were really poor. So Peterson 29, also got McDonough for 39. I watched a fair bit of that game, and she was in and around it, but kind of just like, I feel like GWS were very aware of her presence and what she was trying to do. So they definitely kind of really pushed the boundaries of like holding on and doing a bunch of other stuff to try and put her off and get away with it with the umpiring and stuff like that. So they were very switched on to that, which is good on them, because that's pretty much why we targeted her, because we were like, okay, we know this matchup is good. She's going to be dangerous. And really the GWS coaches outsmarted us there.
Yeah, that's. I did notice that a couple of players over the weekend getting a bit of extra treatment around the ground, like Charlie Rowbottom copped that a bit in the Sydney game as well. Sort of every time she was near the ball, there'd be 2 or 3 swans sort of either bumping into her or tackling her at once, and it was just like. But then again, you probably need like 3-4 people to tackle Charlie Rowbottom to get her to the ground just because she's so strong. But unfortunate with a couple of low scores there. My plus and minus 3. I've got a couple of here, but I'm going to say one because I'm sure we'll talk about the other player when we get to their game. But I'm actually going to give my plus 3 to Caitlin Gould. 90 points. She had a season high score last week with an 84, and she backed that up with a 90 against Collingwood. Was at 14 touches, 8 marks, and 3 goals. And I did want to put Caitlin Gould here because, again, in the group chat that I'm in, obviously with you, Jaiden, and a few other people, I said with about 40 seconds to go, I was just like hopefully Gould can get one more goal, like to finish off, hopefully she can finish off here with a goal. And no joke, it bounced around the square for about 5 seconds, and then there was about a second left. She kicked it, and it went through, and the siren went. So I was just like, perfect. And a few people that didn't have Gould, you could tell, weren't happy, and then the people that had Gould were pretty happy. So she was fantastic. But unfortunately, I think I'll probably be trading her out this week because I don't like the matchup. But we'll chat about that later on. -3. There's a couple of players that weren't great. Like the forward line, there are a few lower scores. I think I'll give it to Charlie Thomas, though. The 44 did sort of catch me a little bit off guard. I thought that she would have gone better than that against Freo as well. Decent enough matchup. I know they're a high stoppage team, but she started off pretty well. I think she was on about 19 points or something at quarter time, but then just completely went quiet after that. Like she had a couple marks in the first quarter, but then she hasn't been a huge marker all year, but only had the 1 mark after that, gave away a couple of frees. So bit of a disappointing score there, considering that she was expensive and she was unique in my matchup in the Content Creators Cup, which is the first time I reckon I've seen Charlie Thomas as unique. And of course, it cost me, but we'll get to that in a second. So in terms of the top 100, so the 100th team is Tiddlywinks is on 12,891. So that's the score you need to be there. So as I said, I'm not too far away from that. Just what's that? I said 92 points for. I meant 93 points because I must have been looking at it wrong. I was actually looking at the team above. So 93 points behind the top 100. But 92, 93 is pretty close enough there anyway. And I think Brett's team, Kiwi 5, is probably going to win it. He's up by, He's up by 195 points with 2 weeks to go. That's a pretty big lead. And he also, shout out to him, he got, is it lucky kissed? I don't know. You probably need it in the end of the day to be up in the top sort of 100 and whatever. But he had Sinead Goody on his bench M6 and actually took, I'm pretty sure he traded in a red dot to take that score, which is obviously fantastic. He'd be absolutely stoked if you got that Sinead Goody score there. And then we'll move to the Content Creators Cup. So we are in round 8. We've got one more week of games, round 9, and then the top 2 playing the grand final. So the results, I went down by 17 points to Eloise, who was top scorer of the league. And I would have beaten every other one in the league except Eloise. So I think it's back-to-back weeks for Eloise where she's beaten the second highest scoring coach. I think Jaiden, you were telling me before. So, very frustrating for me. I'm now 3rd, so I'm just outside. So either I need Eloise to lose this week or I need to outscore her by, I think she's 98 overall, so I need to outscore her by, 94 points or something like that. So we'll have to see. But there you go. But congrats to Eloise on the win and top scoring for the week. JS 1298 went down to Liam 1329. Will 1267 was beaten by our very own Jaiden 1325. Jono 1259 went down to Jackson, who was the 3rd top scoring coach in the league with a 1358. and Mitch 12.78 beat Melbourne in probably the close matchup of the week there with 12.65, so 13-point win there. Mitch, mate, I need you to get the job done over Eloise this week. I need to win and get into the grand final. But there you go. So, and then turns the leaderboard for the Content Creators Cup. So obviously Jaiden is still got the top spot there. Then Eloise has moved up to second spot on points for, because that's how we do it. Percentage, I thought we'd do points for just because it rewards, I guess, the better coach over the year. But now I'm wishing I didn't because I have more percentage. I'm third on 5 and 3, but also Liam is on 5 and 3 as well. So there is it's going to be interesting to see who makes the grand final. Jaiden has locked in a spot in the Content Creators Cup grand final. So congrats, mate. I'm sure that you will be enjoying having the week off, regardless of what happens, because then you'll be up against Eloise, myself, or Liam. Mitch has moved up to fifth there, 4 and 4. Mel is 4 and 4 as well. Then you got Jackson, JS. They love being together. So they're 3, 1 and 4, exactly the same there. Jono, 3 and 5, and then Will hasn't won a game yet, but I'm hoping to get a win to close out the season there as well. So that is Content Creators Cup, and now we'll move into the games. So we'll move on to the first game. We don't have to go all the way back to Tuesday because it's just on the Thursday. So Carlton beaten by the Bulldogs by 33 points in a bit of a surprise game. And I'll probably give a joint MVP here. I'll probably give it to Izzy Pritchard and Maddie Gearin. Izzy Pritchard, if anyone still had her, she had a few lower scores, but top score with the 107. But Maddie Gearin's been a fantastic pick. If you started her at the start of the year, you would be very, very happy. She just continues to get it done. She's really consistent as well. She might not hit the 100, 110 every week, but she gives you pretty much an 80 plus every week. So she's been fantastic. So shout out to her and Izzy Pritchard for going very nicely. Jaiden, who gets your MDP for the game?
Yeah, I guess the disappointing one from my perspective is Karen Peterson, 29, but also Gab Pound, only 24. So that's pretty confusing to me. I would have thought that at least one of them would get some points because, the Dogs actually did very well. The ball was down there a bit. Peterson had 4 kick-ins, Pound had 1, and Cordner had 2. So I'm thinking, it's a bit odd that both Peterson and Pound were both down there, but it kind of sucks as an owner who brought her in, but she did free up a lot of cash for me and really only lost 7K. So it's not like bringing in a premium and they put that score up. But yeah, I would have liked for more and a bit of cash rise, but I'll stick with her for now, I think.
Yeah, exactly. The other one was just when this game that she scored a bit more than most, but Keely Shearer, a few people brought her in this week. Good run to finish the year. 65 points against the Dogs is not good. A lot of handballs there. Dropped a couple of marks, and I remember she dropped a mark and then got caught holding the ball. So 9-point turnaround right there. So probably 20 points at least left on the table from this game from Shearer. But Bolter was an absolute nightmare for me in this game. I had Georgia stats. It was okay, 53. That's okay. But I brought in Shearer over Ash McCarthy. I reckon I've lost 120 points based on getting Ty Smith and Shearer in the last 2 weeks instead of Hurley and Ash McCarthy. But then I also had Gab Pound, 25, and Meg Robertson, 24. So this game was awful from that point of view. We'll move over to Friday and Port Adelaide with a first quarter blitz, but getting the job done by 15 points here. MVP, there's 3 Port tons here, so it's hard to go sort of shout out all 3 of them. So Abby Derrick and Matilda Schotts did really well. Matilda Schotts has been fantastic. Sort of copped a knock towards the end of the game, but she said after the game that she is all good, so should be fine for this week. But the MVP here has got to go to Sinead Goody. 120 points. This is what we thought. Well, we knew she was capable of this. We were hoping we could get maybe one of these scores early in the season to kickstart like a heap of cash gen, and would have seen her probably rise to 800K, 900K, probably a bit quicker than the 750K I think she got to when I think a lot of us traded her out after a double. But yeah, 120 points, 22 touch, 11 marks, 8 tackles. She was fantastic, and she's going to be a fantasy gun of the future that we're going to have in our teams, especially when she's playing a lot more of the CBA role, where she's a bit more on the wing and stuff like that, getting more of the outside ball. It would be good to see when she gets the CBA role. But Jaiden, who gets the MDP for you for this game?
There's quite a lot of low scores from kind of rookie players here. Personally, I brought in Molly Brooksby and Bolter to kind of cover Meg Robinson, who only scored 24. I was hoping for a nice score there. 3 scores in her last 4 over 57. So I was kind of hoping to gain more points there, but I think she was on 0 like quite a fair way into the game. So the kind of other rookies in this game didn't really get the ball as much, and I think that's Goody. Goody just took up everything. So
yeah,
well done to her.
Yeah, what did Brooksby score? What did Brooksby score in the end? Was it like 9 or something? Was it
29? So she kind of saved it a little bit. So I did gain points, but 27. Sorry, I did gain 3 points off it, but I pretty much used a trade to do that. So yeah, didn't really go that well.
Yeah, no, very frustrating. But low scoring round, I think, just in general. Not too many big scores, a lot of scores with no tons in them. But we'll move over to the Saturday games. And Hawthorn continue with their fantastic form, beating the Giants by 37 points. And the MVP has to go to Emily Bates. We did talk about her on Friday as well. I'm pretty sure it was Corey was looking for a player under that price. And he was one case of Elise Parker, who also had a very good game in the 110. But Emily Bates is fantastic. So, Corey, if you went her, fantastic. You'd be very, very happy with that. And anyone else that got her is a bit of an underpriced player. Yeah, 34 touches, 7 tackles, 1 goal, 2. Could have been bigger as well, which is a scary thing. But she was fantastic as well. And, just getting it done there. But also, shout out to Eileen Gilroy, who Liam and a few other people did go this week with a 96, kick 3 goals. She's also been in ripping form. Jaiden, who gets the MDP for you?
Yeah, Bates is a great pick with the run and like the price, and she's like the number 1 midfielder. So I kind of wish I went there. But yeah, I was pretty keen to get Garner in kind of just on paper. Pretty much just fell for that. The disappointing one I mentioned before, McDonough, 3 behinds, was a little bit frustrating to watch because she kind of had some chances to score, to get on the board and didn't really get that going. Pounger was also only 38 points. I held her at 5. I think a fair few other people did, just to not really. I think a fair few went to too good, but if you didn't, then yeah, you kind of had Pounger there. It was probably the right decision in the end to not go too good, but she could have scored a bit more. I think similar to Brooksby, she was maybe fairly low early on, or maybe it was the other way around. She slowed down. So I was kind of hoping for maybe a 45, but I'll take the cash. Still went up 60k, so yeah, not that bad. But just the time on ground, really.
Yeah, no, it's a bit frustrating, but I guess in the forward line, not many people scored very well anyway. So the 38 and the low scores there don't really, in the forward line, I guess, didn't affect too much because there are a lot of players in those sort of high 20s to mid 40s, I thought, this week. So if you had a few of the players like a Caitlin Gould, for example, that would have been where you got the advantage. But if you had players like a Pounger and even a Too Good, you probably didn't really lose a great deal, except for maybe a bit of cash there. Moving over to Sydney and Gold Coast, with Gold Coast getting the job done by 4 points. I believe that was their first win of the season after having a draw against the Giants earlier in the year. MVP from this game. I'm not going to go for the top scorer here. I'm actually going to go for Jack Tapai. She's been a great pick. She was really cheap, just over, I think she's got 524k or 525k, somewhere around there, around her double game week. And people know this, I've spoken about it. I was 4k short of getting her in, and I would have jumped on her instead of, I think I'd ended up having Pounger on field at F5, or I had someone there that scored. No, sorry. I had Giselle Davis there instead, and I brought her in, and she has been awful and has not made any cash. She's lost cash since I got her in, whereas Jack Tapai is up 790k, and she's gone 70, 74, 59, and 70 since her round 6 double. So that's, like what, I've lost 380k. And if I'd gone, I guess, a different mid over Laura Gardner and got Jack Tapai instead, then it would have been better. But hey, hindsight is a wonderful thing, as they always say. But Jack Tapai, shout out to you for getting some really good scores for your owners. MDP, Jaiden, who do you go for this game?
Yeah, it's just a crazy low-scoring fantasy game. The obvious one is Daisy Darcy, only 26 points. It's kind of, she lost all her kick-in, or not all her kick-in, she had none. She also had none last week with a lot of midfield time. Kind of a decrease in midfield time this week. I didn't actually watch the game, but 26 points. And she's very highly owned. very highly owned. So I definitely know that because as a non-owner, I know that from every single time she played, my rank would go down. So I think that's mainly the reason why I actually went up a little bit this week, despite my trade-ins all failing pretty much. So, I'm finally glad after she's kind of burnt me like week after week after week. It's nice to not have an 85 score sitting there, as much as it hurts a lot of owners.
Yeah, I definitely feel you as a non-Daisy Darcy owner. But yeah, I think she copped a knock to her left knee, which is the one that's been strapped for a bit. She came off, but we all know Daisy Darcy's made of something different because she cops like these heavy hits and just seems to make it out. Like it's crazy. So at least she came back out and hopefully she's okay. And she finished out the game, but we'll just have to keep an eye on the injury report and see if anything came out from that game. Moving over to Melbourne and Richmond, with Melbourne get the job done by 13 points and Melbourne making a late charge for the finals. They are out on percentage, but they're getting the job done the last few games and putting themselves in with a shot. The MVP for this game, honourable mention to Kate Hoare, who I was also thinking about giving my +3 back-to-back tons for her with a 102. But the person that had to get the MVP here, Ola Sheeran, 117 points, 30 disposals, 7 tackles, and kicked a goal. She did give a free kick away, though, which I was hoping this week, hearing on the free kick, them talk about how she gives away the free kicks, and we've spoken about it as well. I was hoping for 1 week where she didn't give a free kick away. Unfortunately, she gave one away. But 117, just absolutely fantastic score. We don't see very many mids go over 100, let alone over 110. And the 117 was fantastic. But all I can say is for people that own her, enjoy the last 2 weeks because she will not be a defender next year. She'll be a midfielder and she'll probably just out off the sort of the pace of those top mids. So I don't know if we're going to necessarily start her, but yeah, enjoy last couple of weeks because she's been fantastic. Jaiden, who gets the MDP for you?
Yeah, it's kind of continued on this unfortunate own. If you had Katie Brennan, only 16 points, 20% time on ground with an ankle. And yeah, she's one of the most traded out players this week, which means there was a lot of people that still had her. It's been a rough kind of month and a bit. If you owned her, especially like missing the double and stuff like that. But yeah, this really rubs it in and she would be very, very cheap now. I'm not sure exactly, 583. So she's really lost a lot of money there. So another injury is unfortunate.
Yeah, there are going to be people out there that have had Bree Davey, Bonnie Toogood, Anya Tai, and Katie Brennan. There are going to be people there that have copped all those injuries. And it's a brutal game. It really is a brutal game, the fantasy game we play. So unfortunate for those coaches that did have Katie Brennan in their side. Moving over to the Western Derby with Freo continuing their perfect record against West Coast, winning by 23 points. And the MVP for the week, pretty obvious here, has to go to Mim Strom. This was a hard watch as someone that knew Eloise, brought Strom in. And I might have talked her into it on Friday when Liam was asking about that, was saying, would you go the Garner option or would you go the Strom option? And I said Strom. And I'll take solace in the fact that I was right. But it ended up costing me a matchup and potentially a place in the Content Crowds Cup grand final. But 133, again, fills up all the stat lines. This is just a game just to signify this. 15 touches, 6 marks, 7 tackles, 48 hitouts. Just perfect across the board. And she comes up against the Giants this week, who O'Dowd was injured at the end of the game. I don't know what she did. Don't know if she's fine or not. But regardless, if she comes up against O'Dowd, Fleur Davis, Courtney Murphy, whoever, Mim Strom, it could be a massive game. So I'm sure we'll be talking about her in the trade tarts for the week. But Ash McCarthy also shout out to her. And also Gabby Newton with a 102 as well, who got the job done as well as a bit of a pod defender. Jaiden, who gets the MDP for this game?
Yeah, there's not a heap in this game that were massively owned. I guess it's kind of funny. We were talking during the week about Webster and how I thought she would be like quite cheap, but I did some maths like afterwards, and I think she's maybe was only like $290,000. So you would have gone there if I didn't tell you she was probably 250.
Yes, I would have gone there. And I said, because she was on 38 at halftime, and I said to Jaiden, I've tagged you, and I was just like, Jaiden, thanks, mate. And then you said you knew it was coming. And it was good rocket because she didn't score after that point. So she scored the 2 goals and didn't score. So it was good because I went Borg instead. She scored 5 points less. So it would not have mattered at all. Maybe it lost 10K, but at the end of the day, it wasn't trading either out this week. So it really didn't matter too much. So that was good. Moving over to the next game, Geelong versus Brisbane, with Geelong getting the job done by 10 points. Bit of a surprise here, bit of an upset. Geelong sort of just keep their finals hopes alive by the barest margins. They need all the teams essentially above them to sort of lose. So we'll see what happens. They've got the Crows in the final round, so it's probably unlikely, but they are still a chance there. Another low-scoring game here, so not too many ones you can probably say for the MVP, but the reason I'm going to say Georgie Prasparkas at 87 is because of how cheap she is. And I'm sure we'll chat about her more when it comes to trade targets because she's very cheap. She scored an 87 with 10 tackles there. But interesting stat, I don't know if anyone's seen because we haven't talked about Georgie Prasparkas too much just because of her form hasn't been great. She hasn't taken a mark for over a month. It's been round 5 was last time she took a mark. The last 4 games she's played, she's taken 0 marks. So that's a bit an interesting stat for you. So we'll see if she can get on the board this week with a mark there. But Ashramani is probably the other one I'd probably shout out with an 80 as well. 2 goals, won, an 80-point game against Brisbane is pretty good as well in a tough matchup. So cool. MDP, Jade?
The one trade I did that actually gained me 4 points was trading out Zali Friswell, and I think she's still fairly owned, only 35 points, 8 disposals, only 44 metres gained from 89% time on ground. And really lost a lot of cash now and not looking close to that kind of top 5 forward that maybe we thought she could be. But a few people have mentioned it, but just the kind of wing role, it's not really built for AFLW compared to maybe like the AFLM where they just have so much ball distributing, everything like that. The AFLW is a lot more direct, and the quarters are shorter, so they don't really muck around with it as much. So, that's kind of the downside of wing rolls, and I think that's kind of what Friswell has been subject to this year.
Yeah. So did you went Friswell to 2 good, correct?
No, to McDonough. So 4 points gained right there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's weird. Friswell 35, 2 good 36, even Hout 35, and then McDonough 39. So really didn't matter which foot.
I chose the best one, man.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
So the best one.
You can take the solace in that at least. Moving over to the Kangaroos and North Melbourne. Kangaroos, North Melbourne, same team. Moving over to the Essendon and North Melbourne game, with North Melbourne get the job done by 51 points. And shout out to your girl. She's not going to get the MVP, but Maddie Prasparkas, 100 points in a tough matchup. You'd be very, very happy with that, Jaden, I'm sure. But the MVP for this game, Maddie Gay. And I'm partly going to give it to North Melbourne for this as well, because North Melbourne just kept sort of kicking it to her as much as they dominated the game. They just let her run free. She was the extra. She was a +1 behind the ball, kept racking up. Ridiculous. 30 disposals, 6 marks, 106 points. She was the one, obviously, to pick at the start of the year, pick her as a mid-pricer, and she becomes one of the top defenders, and she was fantastic once again. So 106 points is huge, especially for a defender as well. Jaden, who gets the MDP from this game?
Like you just said, I would have enjoyed Prasparkas, and unfortunately, I traded Prasparkas to Ghana, so I lost points there. I lost those 4 points straight away. It would have been nice if I traded Anderson instead, because Prasparkas is kind of that pod.
I think I said you still had Prasparkas because I looked at on the matchups, probably would have been during that game, and it had Prasparkas. So no, before that game started, it had Prasparkas in, but because you went Prasparkas to Ghana, didn't show up for me yet. So apologies.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have rubbed it in right at the end. The disappointing one for a lot of coaches would be too good, only 36 points, and kind of saved a score pretty late with a goal as well. It was looking a lot less than that, like maybe bottom 5 scorers in the match. This was kind of the worry with the North matchup. There's not a lot of points you can get in the forward line down there. Obviously, the Bombers played very poorly compared to what people expected. So you could put a bit down to that, but it's just that kind of like key forward against a really good team. Probably, in hindsight, the matchup just was never there. But then, like, I got McDonough and the matchup was there and she only better by 4. So it goes both ways, really.
You've said it all year, mate. The paying up for those forwards is probably not the play because they seem to let you down when you pay up for them. But I will talk about Too Good when we get to the trade targets because I'm a little bit not bullish, but sort of taking a positive, I guess, out of the game. They're moving into the last two matches there. So, but also I'll give a shout out for an MDP for North Melbourne, just being too good because every game, so if anyone hasn't looked at Jazz Garner's stats, she turned up in the first two games. She hasn't gone back-to-back tons since round 2. She's gone up and down. But then again, you're going to take up and down with a 90 and then a 130. Nothing wrong with that. Just it'd be nice to go back-to-back tons. But another 90, and again, resting the last 5 minutes on the bench would have easily turned up. Probably got closer to a 110, which was frustrating. But yeah, she's still a good pick, and I'm still hopeful she goes well. They caught this game this week on Friday night. There won't be any resting, I don't think. It'll be a very, very good game. Moving over to the final game of the round, with the Crows getting the job done by 43 points over Collingwood. And we say it every game. MVP goes to Ebony Marinoff. No surprise, 136. Still has not gone below 130 points since round 2 and has gone over 120 points in every game. Just ridiculous. 36 touches. Again, 26 kicks, 10 handballs, 5 marks, 7 tackles. Absolutely massive. So, yeah, I think it was her third quarter, 15 disposals and a lazy 56 points. Just incredible. But also shout out to Caitlin Gould as well with a 90-point game there. Probably would have got the MVP in most cases if not for Marinoff. And also we did have someone ask us on Friday about Sarah Goodwin. She scored 82 points. I saw that one of the teams in the top 10 has got Sarah Goodwin. So I wonder if that was a person tuning in with us and chatting about Goodwin. But if you did go for Sarah Goodwin, congrats to you. Great matchup. Obviously, North this week's a tough matchup, so maybe you move on. But you've got a big boost in cash gen from that game as well. Jaiden, final MDP for the round.
Yeah, I think Goodwin was close to the top cash earner of the week, and she was already like 700k. So that's a big move there. The disappointing one, again, another kind of injury, but Chelsea Randall, the role has been a bit lost. I'm just checking now, like in terms of midfield, the last 3 weeks, no games over 2/3 midfield, really. So playing more up forward, obviously copped a big knock to the face. If you go on the socials, you'll be able to see what it looks like if you kind of want to. It's pretty bad. And yeah, only 33 points. She did come back on and got a goal, which was quite good, and set up that last good goal as well. So she did score a few points near the end. So it was looking a lot worse than that. But yeah, again, she's kind of one of those more expensive forwards, and yeah, we'll have a pretty high break even now. I don't know if you want to trade or not, but the role has kind of been lost anyway. And yeah, I don't know what I would be doing in that situation because she's probably like close to the best forward in the game apart from Hall. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, exactly. I saw the photo this morning of the face is blown up on what is it? Her left side, I think, from the photo. Well, one of the sides of the face was completely blown up. And yeah, doesn't look too great. Most people would go, "Oh, not sure if they'll be playing on a Friday night, short turnaround." I think she'll be playing. Chelsea Randall's the sort of player that you've got to forcibly hold her off the field because she'll play. So, but yeah, shout out to Chelsea Randall. Unfortunately, with a lower score there. Okay, well that's all the games. So we'll move into the break evens for the upcoming weeks that might be able to help you guys with your trades. Then we'll look at the most traded in and out players for the week, with a few people making their moves with just the 2 weeks left to go until the end of the season. So here are the break evens for round 9. So Jaiden, mate, do you want to talk us through? And I guess we can probably start off with someone that may be R1 for their team.
Yeah, definitely. I was quite positively surprised to see Annalee McKee with the lowest break even. I was thinking she would maybe be a little bit higher, but yeah, the lowest one there. And yeah, took all the ruck when Edmonds went down. It's likely she will be the only real option they have in there for this week and potentially next week. It's a bit unknown at this stage, but yeah, very popular. She's only like 325k, I think. So I'm going at this stage. I would be doing it at F5. I have Pounger still there, so I could run
F5.
loop or yeah, I reckon
You'd be comfortable fielding her there, even if I guess a few people they can loop and maybe do a bit of a loop between Pounger and McKee would be good. But you'd be comfortable fielding her straight up at F5 if you didn't have a loop.
Yeah, like I think I will probably end up looping, but it's definitely a consideration for me. Like I did all the sideways trading in the double game weeks to kind of catch up on points, which worked, but I have no money now. So like this could just be a play to play at F5. Because yeah, like why would I pay 800k for a forward if they're all going to put up 35s like we saw last week when I can get Annalie McKee for just 300k and she can do the same kind of thing.
She'd better. She got 48
yeah,
or something
hopefully.
Yeah.
Like she scored 44 on the weekend with a bit of ruck time. So if she could do that again at 300k, that's amazing. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And if she can pull that out, then I'm more than happy to play her F5. Like if I can expect her to play the number one ruck role and Edmonds doesn't play, I don't think they have a lot of other options with Georgia Ball going down. So look, I'm willing to do it at F5 at this stage.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that I'll be definitely looking at doing as well. In one of the iterations of my trades, it is something that I am definitely looking at. A few other players here with some low break-ins. I see obviously a few rookies and cheaper players there as well. Any sort of ones that you've got your eye on? Obviously, McKee's the main one, but anyone else from that list that you'd be keen on jumping on?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of downgrade potential, but yeah, a lot of people got on Hayley McLaughlin last week. They'll be pretty keen to see that she's still very low. She scored well. And yeah, that could generate that last bit of cash that you need. Yeah, apart from that, there's not a heap here, and fairly similar to last week. I would kind of think that you could just take a punt on a 300k player or something like that because they don't have any scores in that system or something like that, where you can just hope for a decent score. Like their break even will be about 24 or something like that. But yeah, if they don't have those scores in that system, then they can get that pretty quick movement just from the one game, and then after that, go from there really. But yeah, pick anyone that's really playing at this point, I reckon.
Yeah. One name I'm very, very happy to see on that list is Emily Borg, who I brought in last week on my bench. So good to see a low break even, which means that she could potentially make some cash this week, but she has scored lower than that this season. So I'm definitely not going to be locking in any cash gen. And Bonnygwed Webster only made the 22k this week. So didn't lose out on a great deal, which is very good and puts my mind at ease there. Moving to the high break evens, not too many huge break evens. I know we see Ebony Marinoff, but the break even really is sort of null and void because we've all got a 152 she can easily beat anyway, which is crazy that most other players we go, they're going to be losing cash. Whereas Marinoff, you're probably like, she might make cash this week. Who knows? But a few other players there. Ella Roberts had a bit of a quieter game. Mon Connie, Jazz Garner, a few names there. So anyone you want to chat through there, Jaiden?
Yeah, that's like Marinoff's price, really. Like average about 150 a price up there. So yeah, it's not really anything that you'd expect. I'm pretty sure she'd price at like 154. So a kind of low game with a 130 something. We'll just put that up. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe I could go for Riddell this week potentially. I know it's fairly high, but 101 still. If I'm bringing her in, I'd probably want her to beat that. And she, I think, went down still, so she's definitely quite cheap. I think I could go there.
67k last week, which is again brought in another player and had their worst score of the season, which is
so yeah, it's kind of that very cheap now, and like getting to the point where the break even gets lower as well because of the price, and how fast the prices move. So yeah, could be a good option still this week. But yeah, I think a lot of the other ones were just players people brought in last week. Benici even for the run and scored pretty poorly. So yeah, there's a few like that there as well.
Yeah, the thing that's frustrating, I guess, with Riddell is that In the start of the year, her marks and tackles at the same time, right? So like round 1, 5 and 5, round 2, 3 and 4, round 3, 3 and 10 tackles there. Then round 4, 2 and 13, and then Carlton 6 and 7. But really, since then, she has only taken since the second game of her double, she's taken 0, 3, 1, and 0 marks since then. So her marks have been right down. Her tackles have been okay, like not too bad, but they're still not to the level they were at the start of the season. So I'm hoping that last 2 games, the Crows should be a good game. I think we could see a few big scores from these mids in this game. I think it's generally typically been a high-scoring game for those mids. And then Gold Coast in the final round, I'm thinking Ash Riddell can finish off with a couple of big scores here, and along with Jazz Garner as well. So I'm hopeful that they can anyway, as I do own both of them. Anyone else you want to chat through, Jaden, there, or do you want to move over to the most traded in and out players?
Yeah, not a heap, really. I think, like, if you're looking for those break-even plays, they're probably somewhere in between the top 10 and the bottom 10. But, yeah, they're all on my site if you want to check them out.
Yeah, make sure you go and check them out. Well, let's have a look at the most traded players in and out for round 9, and a bit of a similar theme to what it was last week. At the very top, the rucks are the where people are making the moves there. So, Jane, you want to talk us through the most traded in players?
Yeah, early days and quite low numbers compared to what we see by Thursday. Like it gets up to about 500 or 600, the most popular. So, yeah, early days, the ruck move's still there. I think it probably costs more money now than what it did last week. I personally don't think I can afford it, and that's just from a team value perspective. I'm not sure how I would get there, which is okay with me. It'd be nice to have Strom, but O'Dowd's been doing all right, perfectly fine for a price, I think.
It's a 72K difference from what it was last week.
Yeah, so I just find it really difficult to find cash to be able to do that. I'm really not sure how coaches are doing it this week. Maybe it looks like double downgrade, I think, something like that, which is really the only way you can get there. I feel like you could make it work, though, with McKee being a pretty good option. So you could downgrade someone like Brennan, Friswell in the forward line and basically, end up with a lot of money just from that. Play McKee on field. That could be your path to doing it. Realistically, it could be something that I look at eventually. Or they're just downgrading that other ruck, maybe. I'm not sure, because a lot of people are still trading in Davis as well, who's pretty much basement, I think.
Yeah. I think pretty close. And also Lily Pierce is there as well, who's obviously a 300K red dot after doing her ACL earlier in the season. So it's going to cost you, what is it? O'Dowd's 812. Mim Strom is 1.371 million. So what's that? That's 559K, which is ridiculous. So it's a lot of money that you need to find. But I do have an iteration of my trades where I can get it done. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go down that path yet or not. We'll see how we go. The one other player I want to chat about on the most traded in players, I think Ola Sheeran's a good target if you can afford to get up to her there. She's been fantastic since came back in the team. We talked about McKee before. Emily Boggs, basement in defence, and she's got a low break even, so she's a good target as well. I think Anna Rose Kenny had a low break even as well, so she's also another option. Ash McCarthy's got a good run coming up there as well. But Bonnie Toogood's who I want to chat about. So the reason I did sort of hinted it a bit that I was a little bit okay coming out of the game. I guess obviously as a non-owner, it's a bit different looking at it now. But looking at her 36 points, the 3 free kicks she gave away, in my book, I think were all pretty stiff. They were tackled. I think 2 of them at least were holding the balls where she grabbed the ball. She sort of almost got tackled and the ball sort of just flung out. It wasn't a drop. It was almost like it got knocked out with defender, but it wasn't like a prior opportunity thing. It was like she just got the ball, got tackled, it flung out, and then the umpire paid to throw both times, which I thought was quite stiff. So that's a few points there. She was a bit unlucky with a few missed marks with teammates missing her. Obviously, being against North Melbourne as well, tough matchup. I still think she's a good target to bring in. She's 595K. Jane, I'm not sure what her break even is. We didn't obviously see her break even there. I don't know if you can find it quickly for us. But yeah, I think she's still a great target. 595K. Really cheap. Obviously gone down a heap in cash. Richmond this week, which is obviously it's okay. It's not necessarily great because you'll be up against Gabby Seymour, I'd imagine, which is a pretty good matchup. I don't think Too Good scored necessarily great last year in that matchup, but then finishes off with Carlton in the final round. But I think with the forwards as well, no one really around her price has got the ceiling that she does. So, and even if she scores a 40 or 50 anyway, you're not really losing, I don't think, a great deal on these other forwards. So, yeah. Jan, do you have a break even there at all?
Yeah, so her break even's 46 and she's priced at 47. So she's really bottomed out now. Like, this is probably the cheapest. I think I said exactly the same thing last week, though. So maybe not. But yeah, she's right at that point of where she's priced at now. And I'm pretty sure the Bombers have the 4th best overall run for forwards on the way home, and that's pretty much all from Carlton. I think Carlton are potentially the best matchup for forwards. Like obviously the Richmond game this week is a bit tough, so yeah, I don't know if I'll go there. I might just do it next week, but I think you'd be silly not to consider it again because it's a fairly similar situation to last week, a bit cheaper now. And kind of a lot of people have her now. So if she does kind of pop that 70 or something like that, then that could really help out the coaches that have her. I'm thinking maybe I'll target her next week because, I can't really see, just like last week, I can't really see her making a lot of cash this week. I think she'll probably score around that break even potentially. Because, if you take away those free kicks, probably like 10 points. So, 46 is spot on. So hopefully she can be around that price next week still, and I can just get on then.
Yeah, and if she's got a 46 in a tougher matchup last week, I think she can at least go similar. And again, 46 on obviously take away the free kicks at disposal, whatever. I think this week, if she can go at least 46, I think it's fine. And it's a slightly easier matchup as well. So I still like that pick. Moving over to the most traded out. Jane, you want to talk us through those players there?
Yeah, like not a heap of surprises here. I guess, like Pounger and Brennan and Friswell, like fixing up the forwards that kind of scored poorly. And there's a lot of downgrades going on with Vucci. I can't even say it. Hartill and Fiddler as well. Like with the ruck. So, bringing in Lily Pearce. That's an option for me to get money because I didn't actually end up doing that last week to get money. Instead, I traded out Goldrick, who's now being traded out by enough people. It's on the way down, and Sheeran's probably the one coming in. Just the roles gone. She was fairly low early in the game as well, so she scored a fair few in that. I think the 3rd quarter maybe she did all right, but it's kind of that move now where another sub 50 score, and you're kind of looking to get off now while she's still got a bit of cash associated with her. I'm not sure what her kind of break even is. So her break even 78. And if she puts up another 50, then she's down 80k and she's 700k overall. So I can see why people would be keen to get rid of her now. That she's kind of done a job as that mid-pricer.
Yeah. The role's not great. She's playing more of that defence, not playing anywhere like any midfield at all. She's purely defence. And with Melbourne actually playing better, the ball's not down there as much. Like the game right before Eden Zanker, Olivia Purcell, all the players came back was against the Crows. And they did win, but the Crows really shot themselves in the foot on that day as well. I think it was like 1 goal 8 or something like that. But the ball was down there a fair bit and Goldrick racked up. But then we've seen since Melbourne been playing really well and getting sort of being on the front foot in games, she hasn't been scoring as well. So she's definitely someone I'm considering trading out this week and is in an iteration of my 2 trades. The 2 sets of trades I have, I'd like to combine them and it'd be perfect. There's things I like and things I don't about both. We'll chat about them very, very shortly. So they're the most traded out players. Was there any sort of other targets, Jane, that you wanted to touch on? I guess we'll just quickly run line by line and just quickly talk about a couple of players, then we'll go through trades and we'll wrap up. Players at the top, we talk about Sheeran, but Gabby Newton, great run for the last 2. Obviously, Maddie Gay as well has also been really good. Maddie Newman's got a tougher run, but she has dropped a bit and she's cheaper than the others, so she could be an option there. And Eileen Gilroy as well has also been really good. And then Beck Webster is the other defender over 900K. Is there any preference you have of the players over there, or anyone that sort of you'd prefer? Is Sheeran still if you can get up there, would you go there? Obviously, Newton and Matty Gay are pods. Where do you sort of lean with those options?
Yeah, Sheeran's I think pretty highly owned now because like she kind of, especially high in the ranks, because with a 117, she naturally pushes her ownership up in the high ranks. And yeah, I really like Matty Gay as well. Just, I mean, pretty expensive, obviously, but the Bombers have the best run on paper against Richmond and Carlton. Obviously, fairly boosted by like North Melbourne getting it in defence a lot, but yeah, like you can do a lot worse than that, like playing the fixtures. Yeah, Newton definitely is someone that I would love to have just for that role, and like it's very similar to Sheeran, so you can
great match
flip a coin really for those two. And yeah, both turned up this week, so yeah, I don't think it massively matters who you go out of those two. Both just very similar, and yeah, the run does favour Newton a bit, but whether you want that kind of kind of more popularity with Sheeran, you could go there. But yeah, like there's not a heap of others that really, I guess, catch my eye apart from the really expensive ones. I need to do a bit more looking if I need a cheaper one. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I'll be doing in defence this week.
Yeah. Well, another player that's creeped up on us that has been really good. We're not trading her in. I'm just mentioning it because I looked at her during her double game, which Georgia Clark. She's since round 5, she's gone over 56 in every game, including 95 against West Coast, the Bulldogs, the week before. And besides this, the week just gone where she got 61, she actually scored more points in every week. She went 20, 20, 23, 42, 56, 62, 72, 95, and then went back down. So quite interesting that she improved every week. But if you jumped on her in a double, that would have been a great pick. I believe she was in the 400s, so that would have been a great pick and something I did consider there as well. Looking under the 800K, well, someone we didn't chat during their game, Ruby Slisher is someone that you might be able to look at potentially bringing in. Got this midfield role. Bree Davies out. She's got Carlton this week and then finishes off with, I'm just having a look who Collingwood have got in their final. Melbourne. So a couple of really good matchups there on paper, especially this week. Again, her last 4 scores have been her best 4 scores of the season, highlighted by the 80 last week against the Crows, which is great there. So she is an option at 8.15 if you wanted to jump over there. But then you've also got players in the 736 and 735K in Chantel Edmondson and Elizabeth Georgia-Stathis. If you don't have the cash to get up, is a few players you could look at. Edmondson's gone 3 scores of 60 in a row, 60, 67 and 65. She's 736, down 129K on the year. Got West Coast and Adelaide. Adelaide not great, but you'd expect maybe the ball's going to be sort of down there a little bit as well. So it could be an option. She scored a 65 against Brisbane, which was a tough matchup. So she's an option. And then obviously Georgia-Stathis is an option as well with a 94 and a 53 in her last 2 as well. Moving to the mids quickly as well. Obviously the top mids obviously is still there. Obviously Marinoff, Garner, Conti, even Ash McCarthy, Anderson, Riddell. A few of these options there. If we're looking, I guess, a bit cheaper, what are your thoughts on Georgie Prasparkas, Jaiden? She's down under 900K. She's all the way down at 875. Scored 87 last week. Her highest score since round 5, which was against Hawthorn. Tough matchup against Brisbane, but now goes West Coast and Adelaide. And a Tolman Grant as well. I believe that was a equal season high of 88%, which is, I guess, good to see as well. And she watched that game bits and pieces. She looked back to, I saw a bit more of that Georgie Prasparkas we know. Is she an option for those coaches that may want to go get Strom? Maybe you go one of your M5s if it's maybe a Hatchard who's got North Melbourne this week, or if it's I don't even know, like even a Matty Prasparkas you want to trade her out, but maybe with Richmond Cup, maybe you don't. But a few of those players out that 1.1, 1.2 that maybe aren't the locked in Marinoff, Garner, Riddell types, could you consider that cash grab that could help you get like a Mim Strom?
Yeah, I feel like it's the right range to be shopping in. I'm not massively convinced on Prasparkas overall, just for the the lack of ceiling, no hundreds this year, and I think she's maybe fairly priced, but like her break even is only where is it? 51, I think. Yeah, 51. So, like, she's priced at 70. You think she would probably beat that. I think it's the right range to be shopping in. It's just whether, like, she can. I think, you want someone who can put up 100. So whether you could see that returning for her or not, I'm not sure really. And there's not a lot around that price, but like if you can get Mims from, I guess you could tick it off.
It probably comes down to Mim Strom and Georgie Prasparkas in most people's case if they're doing it versus I'll just use Anne Hatchard because that's the first one that comes to mind. And Anne Hatchard and Eilish O'Dowd, for example. Probably like, I guess the ceiling's probably there with Georgie Prasparkas and Mim Strom, especially Mim Strom with the matchup this week. Could be people's backup captains because Ebony Marinoff plays on the Friday. You can obviously have the free look at that. So it probably comes down to that. So sort of do you lean towards the Strom and Prasparkas combo out of the Hatchard / any other mid and O'Dowd?
Yeah, well, it's just difficult because I think Prasparkas doesn't have the best fixture, and there is a little bit to that because she just came off Brisbane, who are really, really hard. But overall, Geelong have the third worst run for midfielders. So there's no real amazing matchups on paper, and I think you could realistically look to like whether you can find better matchups there, whether it's from a Freo player or like that's why people are getting strong for that run. I just don't know really on Prasparkas. I do probably say you can trade out Hatchard though against North this week, but then they play each other in that final game, and I don't know whether Prasparkas will be able to kind of go, especially if Geelong season's over by then, whether they kind of go okay or not against Adelaide, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess if you've got a couple of rookies, you might be able to downgrade the week after. Maybe that cash the week after gets you back up to someone for the final round if you wanted to trade her out or not. I'm just actually looking to see because it'd be interesting to have a look at how much longer Amy McDonald is out for if she is potentially back. Because I would imagine she comes back, that could be potentially really good for someone like Georgie Prasparkas there, which I'm trying to find the injury report there. It's always bloody hard to find the injury reporting in the AFLW, unfortunately, with that. So I don't know if there's actually... Yeah, it doesn't look like there's actually one. Oh, hang on. Here we go. There's a pre-week 8 update. Let's have a look. So it said Amy McDonald was a test last week. So Amy McDonald could be back this week. So that would be obviously be a positive for Georgie Prasparkas. We know that she does score better when Amy McDonald is there. So something to watch for if she comes back there as well. Rucks, I think it's pretty much really just Mim Strom that you're looking at. Matilda Schott's got a tough matchup. Lucy Wales with Lauren Pearce is a tougher matchup now as well. The one that's not really a ruck that's got a good matchup is Jessie Wardlaw. She did put up a bad score last week, so you're sort of sure going there. I think the matchup's really good, though, so you definitely could look at it. But then the other one I would have said there would have been Alice Edmonds because I think she had a couple of okay matchups finished, but unfortunately injured. We don't know how long out for, so she could be out for a bit there. And then the forwards, there's obviously we've talked about there's Bonnie Toogood, but then there's a few other options, but we're sort of not really sure who you're probably going to. So you're probably going cheap or going for Bonnie Toogood. Gabby O'Sullivan's got good matchups, but she hasn't looked great the last couple of games. I guess probably the question would be, Jen, thoughts on trading out of a Caitlin Gould type who's got North Melbourne, who for a few of those players have brought her in. She's made good money. She's up at 904K now. Something I'm looking at is going her down to a Bonnie Toogood to fund other moves. You make, over 300K doing that move and tough matchup against North Melbourne this week. What are your thoughts about trading Caitlin Gould out?
Yeah, it was probably a fairly bookmarked trade there, like bringing in Gould for those 3 good matchups and including the double. And now she's got North and Geelong. And you could trade to a Toogood or something like that, make the cash, but also like comparing the fixtures, Essendon's is 5 points better per week than Adelaide on average. So, Gould has the difficultest run home. So against North, you could just go for it and Yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing game, that one, in terms of the fantasy game, but also the overall context of the AFLW season itself. So whether you can trust Gould to step up and kind of do that or not. She's coming off 2 great scores, but again, that's fairly matchup related, I think. So now, yeah, you'd think she could be scoring a little bit less this week, potentially worth a trade out. I'm not sure what she's kind of priced at. She's priced at like 72. So yeah, you could
68, third highest averaging forward, but again, majorly helped by the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So if you think she can continue at kind of 72, and fair enough, but if she's going maybe like back to 55s, then yeah, you could probably say that it's worth a trade out there to gain the money.
Yeah, it's something I'm looking into in my trades, which is where we'll lead on to wrap up the episode. So we'll lead on to our current trade thoughts. And Jaiden, what are your current plans?
I don't have many. I'm thinking probably something along the lines of getting in McKee. I could just go Guttridge down and loop with Pounger, or just depending on how much cash I need, really. Yeah, because I'm not really sure about what Pounger did on the weekend, so no centre bounces. I think maybe I might just do that and play McKee at F5, because yeah, there's no point really looping if I don't think Pounger can even go that well. And then yeah, Fiddler scored quite. Fiddler made a bit of money, so I could trade her down to Pierce. Maybe that's enough to get Strong. Maybe I could just do that.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the positive with Pounger is that they do play Freo this week, which we know they're a high stoppage team as well. But the good thing is she plays before McKee does. So if you've got both, you get a free look at Pounger first to see how she goes. So yeah, that's definitely something to look at there. I got 2 options. What I'm currently looking at. My first option being Gould, Goldrick, and Davis out. So going Gould to Too Good, Goldrick up to Gabby Newton, and then Davis to McKee, and playing the F5 loop between Pounger and McKee, which I'm liking those trades. It's just no Strom though. That's the only thing. But then my other option of getting Strom is going Hatchard down to Georgie Prasparkas, going Caitlin Gould down to Bonnie Too Good, and that gives me the cash to go O'Dowd up to Strom. But it means playing Pounger straight up at F5 instead of looping between McKee and not getting the cash gen. So I like both options. I'm considering both. I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet. So that's something I've got to decide there. And the good thing is I'll be on a long flight over to America on Thursday. So I'll have plenty of time to mull over my trades. But yeah, so that's how we'll be going this week. But anyway, appreciate everyone that tuned in and listened to the pod or the video. Jaiden, mate, thank you very much for jumping on tonight. Where can the people find you across the socials and the website?
Yeah, you can find me at Jaiden_Poposky on Twitter, or yeah, head over to the site, statsbyjaiden.com.au, where yeah, everything I've been referencing in this pod you can find for yourself.
Yep, beautiful. Make sure you guys go and check it out. A couple weeks to go. And it's it's a very, very useful, Jade, mate. We all thank you very much for all the hard work you put in. You can find me at Bails DT. You can find Mitch at Ball Boys Fantasy, and you can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans on Twitter as well. Friday is a slight, and not normally. I'm normally always here ready to go for the pre-lockout chats and round reviews, but I can't necessarily guarantee that there will be one this week because I do have a flight early Thursday morning. I'll be arriving in America, I believe, like sort of during the day, like Australia time. So it depends how I'm feeling. It'll be about 3 a.m. in the morning when I got to do it. So because I want to watch the game, so I'm still planning to do it. But in case the flight gets delayed, in case I'm absolutely like spent, can't do it, there is a slight chance we don't have one. But sort of just based on the fact that I do think we will still have one. The game is at 7:45, so we'll be doing one probably from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Eastern Daylight Time, sorry, and that's 3 p.m. Perth time. So we'll still aim to do one, but we'll tweet out and let people know as well. So, yeah, beautiful. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. good luck for that. We'll have a good couple of days. I was going to say good luck. We don't have any games till Thursday. So thanks, guys. And we'll catch you guys on hopefully Friday night. So thanks, everyone. See ya.